This report is about the 3 reasons why even six-figure earners have trouble growing their wealth, even though they have big incomes. So imagine this scenario for a minute about a person who has great income, who is earning over $300,000 a year, and they are feeling financially stuck. So imagine this. They followed the plan. They went to college. They got the bride. They got the house. They got the six-figure income. And yet they're not getting ahead. Their overhead, their expenses, their kids' expenses are increasing at the same or faster rate than they can earn, save, and grow their money. It would actually be pretty frustrating. Even though they have done everything right, including going to the big box advisor, the independent financial advisor, they've purchased the investment newsletters, and maybe they've even went to the logical weekend workshops on mindset and money. But at the end of the day, they want to know that they can choose to stop working. They want to continue working, but they want to have the choice to not work. Some would call this control over the time, or some would call it freedom. So what I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you the 3 reasons why many six-figure earners are experiencing this stuckness right now in their lives. And according to Reuters, the cost of living for that top 2 percentile is growing even faster than they are realizing. Kids' private schools up 400%, health insurance has gone up 300%, housing has gone up 200%, and this is not ending. This trend is not ending. And this is due to a magnitude of factors. First, this 2%, people earning over $300K a year, their living costs and their families' living costs are increasing as fast as their earnings or their income. Second, the money that is getting saved often is just spent later and not really getting saved. And third, the money that actually does get saved has not grown in 13 years. And let me actually add a fourth, which is not on the screen. Because they are putting so much effort and time into their income and earning, they start to justify purchases for themselves. They start to say, I deserve fill in the blank, because they're working so much, and they start spending on things just to counterbalance all the effort and time they're putting into their job. Now, like most breadwinners earning $300,000 or more, they've recently really noticed that they are the target of even more taxes from the government. This is because the middle class is out of money, and the bottom 50% have greatly increased their dependence on the government, disability, Medicare, food stamp, etc. Most high earners have relied on the idea that if they just work hard enough and make enough money somehow, it will just make it to their bottom line and grow their wealth. Even more, they've recently noticed dramatic changes in how much growth they can get from their saved money. This is because after 2 50% falls in the stock market, with a probable third happening in the next 3 years, the return of invested money, of saved money, has greatly fallen. And so they're starting to say to themselves, why save if I'm just going to lose it? But despite these setbacks, across this income level, some earning $300,000 or more are growing their wealth, getting more time for themselves, feeling more like they are getting ahead while really spending less time at the office. And no matter where they live, no matter what condition their net worth is in, they can immediately start getting unstuck financially and start increasing their choices in their life using a little known but effective technique, which I'm going to be showing you in this video. So imagine what their life would look like and feel like if they had control back over their time and their wealth was moving faster and covering all of their lifestyle and overhead expenses. And when this happens, it's called escape velocity. And it's what most high income earners want in their life. They want to know when they do not have to work. They want to know when they have all of their overhead covered. And that's exactly what happened to Richard Green when he took his life from having to work to hoping one day he could earn his way out of it to really having escape velocity. Now, knowing all of his life's overhead, he knows all of his life's overhead, travel, private school, lifestyle are taken care of and were taken care of while making sure his future was secure. That's escape velocity. And Richard isn't the only one who wanted this, isn't the only one who wants this. Do you know that every day millions of high earners are searching to figure out how to get unstuck? You can see here in the screenshot that one I recently took, over 3 million people are typing in high six-figure earners stuck. These are people who have already figured out how to earn high incomes, earn over $300,000 a year. But something's wrong, something's not working, and they don't know what it is, but they know there's an answer out there. And according to Bloomberg, the government says the top 2%, the same group of people, are fortunate few who can pay more to help reduce the U.S. budget deficit. Did you just read that? The government said, hey, this top 2%, they're so fortunate. They make so much money that they're going to help us reduce the U.S. budget deficit. And according to the Wall Street Journal, a typical hedge fund has risen 4% on average this year through August 9th, according to analysis conducted by Goldman Sachs. That performance compares to a 20% total return, including dividends, for the S&P 500 over the same time frame, meaning the market has outperformed an average hedge fund by 5 times this year. Now, my point of showing you this is not that you should be in hedge funds, but what used to help the high earners, the people who make over $300,000 a year, help them accelerate their wealth, is no longer helping them anymore. It's no longer working. And that's why they're feeling this stuckness. So what would their life look like if they were to really accelerate their wealth faster than their lifestyle and their overall cost of living? What would it look like to have what I call escape velocity? What would it look like and feel like to experience having more choices, more security every year without feeling like really they needed to work more? And knowing and feeling their money is clearly running in the direction they want. It's clearly getting bigger and accelerating, so they know their overhead is covered. They know they can cover private school and future expenses. They know there's a point in the future where they can choose to not work, where they can be out from under the obligation of others. Well, for 15 years, I've really been doing exactly that with my high six-figure earning clients here in Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley is an interesting place. Most know it's filled with people who often earn well. But what most people don't know is they don't actually know how to grow their wealth. They're good at earning money, but they're not necessarily good at accelerating the money they have. And it's mostly because they're breaking the rules of escape velocity. So what I want to do is show you how they got escape velocity, how they were able to make sure their future lifestyle expenses and overhead were completely taken care of, so they knew when they could acquire that choice to not work. And I want to show you the 3 reasons why they were stuck and why they were not getting ahead, even though they had big incomes. So let me show you now what the 3 reasons are, and then I'm going to break down each reason, and then I'm going to give you a solution for those. So reason number 1 is how they were scoring, or how they are scoring their wealth. How they score is one of the reasons why their wealth, their net worth, is not accelerating. Number 2, it's actually how they're acting or misacting, but it's how they're acting that's driving being that stuck. And then number 3, it's how they're actually accelerating, or in some cases, many of them are decelerating the money they keep after they get it. And like I said before, I want to provide you the one solution for each reason. So let's start with number 1, how they score. Well, the first thing is they're scoring the wrong number. People often think that if they just know how much they earn or how much they spend or even how much they save, but the big ones are, what are you earning? People feel and focus on what they earn more than anything else to determine their wealth. But I have to say, I know a lot of high income earners who earn $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year who feel stuck. And it's because they're so focused and scoring. They're just scoring. They're measuring their earnings and nothing else. Well, what's actually happening is they're scoring the wrong number. What they want to be doing is scoring their net worth, measuring their net worth. The second thing is they're actually not scoring anything, right? When you score something, you measure something. They're actually not scoring anything. What they're doing is they're still thinking, I'm going to get the big payday next year. I'm going to make so much money that I don't actually have to score any numbers, let alone my net worth. Or the third reason, they are actually measuring numbers, what they earn, what they save, what they spend. The problem is they have gotten into so much detail. They're in such a granular measuring place that there's no energy left for strategic thinking, because all their thinking and energy and effort goes towards all these logistics of just trying to gather all this information. And so they've greatly complicated the scoring process. So here's the solution. Only score one number. And this is what my clients do who accelerate their net worth, who get more choices in their life each year. They score one number, their net worth. That's the number they're scoring. Everyone on this planet has a net worth. And a net worth, I'm sure you already know this, is really the summation of all your account balances and equity in your house, in your investment properties, in your cars, minus the debt you owe. So you add up your account balance in your checking and savings and brokerage and 401k and IRA and all of those accounts. You add to it any equity you have in your residence, any equity you have in investment properties. That comes up to some number. And you subtract the debt you owe. And you just simply measure that each month. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to start acting different based on what's happening to that number. And there's even a site that can measure a lot of this for you. And you only need to measure your net worth. Mint.com wants you to measure a bunch more, but that's actually a waste of time. So the solution to number one, which is scoring, is score one number, score your net worth and do it monthly, and you will start to notice what you need to do. You'll certainly notice what is and is not working. Reason number two is how high net worth income earners are acting. So let's look at the three reasons. Number one, they're actually not on the same page with their spouse. Money's not talked about between them and their spouse, because when it is, there's a fight and they just don't want to fight with their spouse anymore. And it's almost like they're in this nuptial relationship with their spouse, but from a financial point of view, their money's never like held hands, let alone kissed or anything else, or consummated the relationship. And they are not on the same page with their spouse. And getting on the same page with your spouse, being on the same page with your spouse, is like 1 + 1 = 11. There's a level of acceleration that you're both on the same page, moving in the same direction. You don't necessarily need to want the same, but because now you're scoring the proper number, you can talk about what you can afford, not afford, spend, not spend, and so you have context to that conversation. The second one, people have actually confused earning money with accelerating their net worth. And what I mean by that is there's this world called earning money, and there's a completely different and separate world called accelerating money. And these two worlds have nothing to do with each other. So imagine one world was like professional baseball, earning money, and the other world, accelerating money, was like figure skating. All right, they're both sports, even if they're both professional sports. You would never confuse the two. One, you have to put on cleats, you're running around dirt or asphalt, AstroTurf or grass, you have a baseball bat. The other one, you have ice skates on, you're not on dirt, you're on ice. The outfits are much different. But imagine if you took your baseball uniform, including your cleats, and you went into the world of accelerating money on the ice rink. Imagine how kind of beat up and bloody you would get. Well, that's what's happened with people who are taking the rules of earning money over to the world of accelerating money. They've literally confused the two because they've actually never been taught the difference. And then the third reason is people are unaware of what I call their ancestry wealth ceiling. And these are kind of the unspoken beliefs of money within their family system. So there are only 4 levels, or there are 4 levels, of anyone's ancestry wealth ceiling. The first level is not enough, or not enough money. The second level is called just enough money. The third level is called enough money. And the fourth level is more than enough. So when you don't have enough, which is the first level, you literally don't have enough money. You're always barely getting by the grace and help of other people. You don't have enough money. Well, if you're born into a family of not enough money and you want to get to more than enough, which is where all people want to get, because when you're at that top level called more than enough, you give back, you help others, you start creating huge change and shifts in the world because of your giving. But imagine if you were born into a family system called just enough. And every time you started moving up into this next level above you called enough, these unconscious beliefs and mechanisms would start moving you back down one way or the other. Maybe through a bad investment advisor, maybe through losing money, maybe through a bad business partner, maybe through a bad business deal. It actually doesn't matter how, but it keeps moving you back to that ancestry wealth ceiling phase level that you were born into. And these can be shifted once you know which one you are. So the solutions to how people act is, number one, start acting based on your score, or how your, what that score is for that net worth. That's how you want to act, based on that, not based on how much you earn or how good you're feeling or how hard you're working, but you want to act around your money based on that score. And this is really saying the same thing. Start acting based on the net worth, the scoring of the net worth, and not feelings or emotions or earnings. You'll also notice that when you know what your score is and where you are, talking to your spouse about money is really straightforward. There's no attack. There's no defend. It's just like, look, here's the numbers. Here's our score. This is how it's growing. This is what you want to do. This is how it's going to affect it. And so it becomes less of you against them or them against you, and more of, hey, let's just look at our numbers. But not numbers, just one number. And so it completely shifts how you act around money, how you and your spouse act around money. Because now you're acting based on a center point. Almost like you now have your compass and you know where you are. It's completely different. So the third reason is how people accelerate. People who are financially stuck, who are high income earners, but they're not getting unstuck. They're not getting the things they want, the freedom they want, the choices they want. And so the third reason is because really they don't know how to accelerate, or they're almost decelerating their money when it gets to this phase. So the first reason why they're not accelerating is they've literally complicated the way they accelerate. And they do this mostly because they believe, or they've bought into the idea, that investing is really complicated. So they'll make sure to implement a very complicated system too, or they will hire someone to implement a very complicated system too, but the results are always the same. Money doesn't grow that well, and it definitely does not accelerate. The second reason is they're actually following what I call the big box process. This is where you go to like an Edward Jones or a Raymond James or a Merrill Lynch. You go to some big box advisor, and it can be an independent financial advisor, but you're really following kind of the big box conventional process to acceleration. And the underlying theme that's going on is, well, I trust the experts. I'm an expert at what I do, so I'm going to go find an expert at what they do. The problem is they are actually not experts at accelerating wealth. What they're experts at is keeping your money connected to the stock market. So if the stock market goes up 50%, your money goes up anywhere between 48 and 52%. And if the stock market falls 50%, your money goes down anywhere between 48 and 52%. Well, if you're following the big box process, you then don't actually need to have them anymore. And I'll show you in solutions what you can do. And then the third reason why people are not accelerating their money, people who earn well, earn over $300,000, is they're literally following a very expensive or an expensive process. And I'm just calling this process my gut feeling, which really is an unproven, hey, look, I'm good at making money, therefore I'm good at accelerating it. But you just learned in the previous step, the world of earning money and the world of accelerating money are completely different. So by using a system, a process, a strategy that's not proven, that becomes a really expensive process. So here's solutions. Number one, just know when to be out of the market. This is actually not that difficult. You can go to Yahoo Finance. You can put in what's called moving averages, and you can put in a 50-day moving average and a 200-day moving average on the S&P 500. And if you do this, you just be in the market when the 50 is above the 200-day moving average, and be out of the market when the 50 is below the 200-day moving average. And go plug this in to Yahoo Finance on the S&P 500, and what you'll notice is you will miss every major fall in the stock market. It's not difficult, it's not complicated, and you have to have that core belief that you know that you should not always be in the stock market. The second solution, if you have that big box process or that big box approach or that big box advisor, you can actually fire them and just buy the ticker symbol RSP. RSP is a phenomenal ticker symbol. What it does, it has your money equally invested in large cap stocks, mid cap stocks, small cap stocks, deep value stocks, growth stocks, really, really high growth stocks, deep value stocks, I might have just said that, dividend producing stocks, international stocks, domestic stocks. It gives you complete diversification with one ticker symbol, and it greatly outperforms the big box advisor. But now you don't have to pay them their 1% a year, which really isn't the most expensive part. The most expensive part of having a big box approach is really the underperformance of what it could be. That's really the expense you're paying. And then the third solution is just never lose big. Have a stop loss on your investments. In the 15 years that I've been working with high income earners in Silicon Valley, the one thing that has always held true is if any of them have been stuck and not feeling like they're getting ahead and being able to get that escape velocity, is because they've had major losses in their past with their investments. They have not had a point where they say, if it falls below this, I know I'm wrong. So you never want to lose big. Now, did you notice that scoring is based not on earnings, but net worth? Did you notice that people who are not getting that escape velocity are actually basing it on earnings? Did you notice that people who are not accelerating their money, they're actually acting based on false assumptions? The way they're acting is based on their income or how hard they work, but not really what their net worth is, not how their money is being accelerated. So they're acting and having their attention actually on the wrong numbers. And they're actually decelerating their wealth because of the big box approach or the complicated approach or the expensive approach. And the thing is, it's really not their fault because no one's really ever taught them this stuff. This stuff is not actually taught. So, I have a question for you. What do you think your life would look like if you actually did all this stuff, if you actually implemented? And, would you like to find out? So, let me ask you a question. Would you like me to personally and immediately safely accelerate your wealth for free? I'm looking for a dream client that I can bring in a massive amount of momentum for. And if you're that client, I will personally work with you one-on-one in your money to help you safely accelerate your net worth in the next 12 months. You pay nothing out of pocket ever. Here's why. The first thing I'm going to do for you is to personally help you create a strategic plan to stop the losses, cut the complexity, and bring an immediate acceleration to your net worth. There's no charge for this. It only takes about 45 to 90 minutes for us to do together. After all, if you don't actually implement the stuff I give you, neither one of us will really enjoy the conversation. That's it. Those are my requirements. So here's how the process works. First, you'll need to fill out an application. Don't worry, it's simple and unobtrusive. I just need to know where you're at, get an idea of what you want to accomplish, and so forth. I'm also going to ask you for a real person deposit of $750. Don't worry, I could care less about the $750. I'm just using it as a filter to keep the time vampires at bay. I'll give it back to you right after we hang up, unless I take you as a client, and in that case, I can apply it to your balance. Here's what will happen after that. Once I have your real person deposit and your application, you'll get a time on my calendar for us to speak. Our initial call will be between 45 and 90 minutes. The best that can happen is we work together one-on-one to increase your net worth, to accelerate your net worth and wealth, so you know with complete clarity you can finally get the growth you deserve. That's why I think this is the closest thing to free money you'll ever see. So here's how it works. First, we get on the phone one-on-one and go over the parts of your money. I take a look at what you've got, what you're doing, and what you want to achieve going forward. Once we have those raw materials, I help you come up with a strategic plan of action to immediately increase your wealth. There are a number of ways I might do this for you. For example, I might show you how to restructure your investment portfolio to better protect it from the increased volatility and manipulation going forward, or how to identify and profit from these large 18-year secret bull market cycles that we are in, or how to pull more money from each investment you own. And since you already earn well, we're bound to whip up a quick way to get more of those earnings into your portfolio so they can accelerate your wealth. And like I said, really there's no charge for this. So why would I offer it to you? For two reasons. First, I love it. I really enjoy it. This is the type of thing I do and I do best. And it makes me very, very happy to see someone achieve financial success and all that comes with it as a result of the help I give them. Second of all, it's how I attract top-level clients. So here's how it works. Assuming you're happy and you want to implement these types of strategies for you all the time, you're probably wanting to continue working together for long term. So I can help you implement them. And in this case, I might invite you to become a client. Now, I have this great story that I just want to share with you. A client of mine, Richard, who came into my world in 2006, and years after that, I overheard him speaking with one of his friends, Eric, who was not one of my clients. And Eric asked Richard, how much did it, what was your investment? How much did it cost to work with RC? And Richard said, well, it was expensive at first. And the investment to work with RC was $35,000. And Richard said, Eric, at first that sounds really expensive. And Eric's like, at first, it always sounds expensive. And Eric, not really getting bait, he goes, yeah, that's actually kind of what I thought, but I wanted to work with him because I noticed with myself, my own behaviors, the way my mind was operating, it almost felt like I was using a 1989 operating system. And so regardless of any of the new software I put in it, it wasn't getting upgraded. And Eric's like, yeah, but 35,000. So Richard's like, yeah, but remember in 2008 when the market crashed 58% and your portfolio went from 800,000 to 400,000 and my portfolio still fell but went from 800,000 to about 720,000? We talked about it back then. Well, after that corrected, that 58% corrected, I was starting with 720,000. And, you were starting with 400,000. We had talked about this. And I have to say, not losing another 320,000, that one thing alone was worth the investment in having RC in my life. But there were many more things that we did together to really accelerate our wealth. But it was just that one thing of not losing 320,000. And Eric's like, yeah, but, and Richard said, no. But that's the point. It's about not losing money. It's about growing money. It's about accelerating money. It's actually about acting differently. So it was funny, Richard then said to Eric, so let me just ask you a question, Eric. Is $35,000 an appropriate amount of money for you to invest if you believe that would keep you out of the next 50% fall in the stock market? Yeah? And, just that one thing alone. Forget all the other things that I've worked on with RC, being on the same page with my spouse, having more of my money get saved, actually earning more money, having more free time, having to put less effort into earning, all these other things that have accelerated my wealth. But just that one thing, would that be an appropriate amount of money? And Eric said, well, of course it would. And Richard said, well, that's the point. It's because this is an appropriate thing to do for people who actually want to get ahead. Now, I bring up that story because it's a story that's really important. Because I actually expect to increase your net worth more than $35,000. But I'm confident we can have your entire net worth accelerating harder than you are working for it at a minimum. And actually, I can give you a plan to make more than $35,000 during our first conversation, which is free. So you'll see the value by the time we hang up the phone without really ever having to spend a dime. And look, if you don't want to become a client, don't worry about it. You won't get any sales pitch or pressure from me of any kind ever. In fact, here's my giant promise to you. You find our conversation to be incredibly valuable, I'll pay you $750 immediately to compensate you for your time. Now, obviously, it's an amazing offer, which you'll probably never see from any other money growth advocate in the world. But think about it. I'm personally generating an acceleration plan for you upfront for free, and then letting you pay me later, if and only if you decide to work together with me. Plus, I'm taking it kind of one bold step further by guaranteeing you this free plan will be immensely valuable, or I'll pay you $750 just for wasting your time. Just tell me and it's yours, no questions asked. So, who else would do that? The answer is nobody. I checked. But I'm happy to put it on the line like this because my consulting clients always get great results, period. After all, I'm the highest paid money growth advocate on the planet for a reason. My stuff works. I know that if we work together, you'll make money, you'll accelerate your wealth. So consider this. Over the past 15 years, I've shown hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families and couples and people how to easily and without complexity plug into these acceleration processes. The same ones I clearly told them to get out of the stock market before losing 50% of their portfolio in 2000, or when I told my clients to get out of the stock market in January 2008 before the entire 58% Lehman crash. And it's not just about the stock market. Anyway, as you can imagine, I get a lot of interest from this letter. And that's why I need you to read this next part really carefully. I need you to read it and hear it. This is not for everybody. So here's who I can help. I'm very picky about who I'll speak with, and I've got a strict but reasonable set of criteria that need to be met in order for us to proceed. So here it is. Number one, you have to be a business owner, owner-operator, or a professional. This offers for people who are already earning well and simply want to run a lot faster and a lot farther. You should be earning $300,000 or more already each year. And look, I won't work with beginners, get-rich-quick people, or biz-op folks. No shenanigans. Number two, you must have at least $500,000 in the market or a net worth of at least $800,000. This means you're already saving some of your money and putting it to work in the stock market and or the real estate market. You're investing in stocks, you're investing in real estate, you may have investment properties, you may not, but you already are having that experience of investing that money, of attempting to accelerate it. And you don't have to be a multimillionaire or huge necessarily. I just need to be able to, I just need you to be able to really to already earn and save. Number three, you must have the funds for my coaching. After all, if you don't have the funds to invest in a conversation like this, then it really wouldn't be fair to both of us. And I just want to make sure that this conversation is being fair to both of us. Number four, you must have all decision makers on the call. So that means your spouse. And for most of you, that means having your wife on the call. And if being on the same page with your spouse is important, then she and he, whoever it is, whoever your spouse is, a female or a male, will be part of the decision-making process. They also need to be on the call. And number five, you must follow directions. Don't worry, I won't ask you to do anything difficult. You know, after doing this type of thing for more than 15 years, I've gotten pretty good at results. Anyway, I'll even do most of the heavy lifting for you, telling you exactly what to buy, what to sell, what to trade, how to position your portfolio, and how to continue growing your net worth, accelerating your net worth and wealth as well. And at the end of this initial strategy session, this initial meeting, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, you love the plan and decide to implement it on your own. If this is the case, I wish you the best of luck and ask that you keep in touch with me to let me know how you're doing. Number two, you'll love the plan and ask to become my client so I can personally help you execute, maximize, and profit from it immediately. If that's the case, we'll knock it out of the park, and that's a promise. Every single one of my clients gets results, literally every single one of them. Or number three, in the unlikely and unprecedented event that you feel like you've wasted your time, I'll send you $750 as payment immediately. No questions asked. Your time is your most valuable asset you have, and I respect that. It really is that simple, and there's no catch. Think about this. So the worst that can happen is you get a $750 check for wasting 45 to 90 minutes of your time. And this is where we really begin to figure out exactly what you want and how to make it happen. I'll painstakingly review your questions and answers, investigate where your investments are right now, and I'll deliver a plan to you to increase your wealth, to accelerate it. If you see the value in becoming a high-level client, great, we can talk about it. And if you don't want to become a client, that's okay. I'll return your deposit back to you immediately. So you really can't lose. By the way, I've never had anyone feel like their time was wasted ever. That's why I can make this offer of risking my time and expertise. So warning, time is a factor. This opportunity is extremely limited because of the intense one-on-one time needed in order to provide you with results. Therefore, it is physically impossible for me to work with more than a handful of people. Also, you should realize there's a very large demand for personal one-on-one help from me, and what I'm offering to you is unprecedented. So with that said, know that the window of opportunity won't be open long. And if you feel like this is right for you, just go ahead and click, leave your application, and let's talk. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to speaking with you then. Take care.